There's something comforting about a golden jar of honey sitting in the pantry. For generations, it's been marketed as nature's perfect sweetener, pure, natural, and straight from the hive. People drizzle it over toast, stir it into tea, or use it in baking with the belief that honey is healthier than processed sugar. The word itself conjures up images of hardworking bees buzzing through fields of flowers, producing liquid gold one drop at a time. But here's the shocking truth. Not all products labeled as honey actually contain honey. In fact, some of the most popular jars and bottles you see on store shelves have zero honey in them at all. This isn't just a technicality. The honey market has been flooded with fake, adulterated, and counterfeit products for years. Behind the cheerful bee logos and golden packaging, some of what you're buying is nothing more than syrup, rice syrup, corn syrup, or other fillers designed to mimic honey's sweetness and thickness. It looks like honey, it pours like honey, it even tastes like honey. But in reality, it's a manufactured concoction with none of the natural benefits you think you're paying for. So how did this happen? The story begins with demand. Honey has long been prized for its natural flavor and health benefits. It contains trace vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and antibacterial properties that refined sugar lacks. As people looked for healthier sweeteners in the last few decades, demand for honey soared. But real honey is expensive to produce. Bees are sensitive creatures, dependent on weather, crops, and ecosystems. Genuine honey production takes time and care, which means supply is limited. Unsurprisingly, shady suppliers saw an opportunity. By diluting real honey, or outright replacing it with cheap syrups, they could make huge profits while passing off the product as pure. The most disturbing part? Many of these fake honey products still make it onto grocery store shelves right under our noses. A number of studies and investigations over the past 2 decades have revealed just how widespread honey fraud really is. Tests conducted in the US and abroad have shown that a large percentage of honey sold in supermarkets contains little to no actual honey. In some cases, the jars are nothing more than corn syrup with artificial coloring. In others, producers use ultrafiltration, a process that removes pollen and other natural markers, so regulators can't easily trace the origin. The end result is a product that looks perfectly legitimate, but is far from the real thing. One of the biggest reasons this problem persists is weak labeling laws. In many countries, including the United States, honey doesn't always have to contain pollen to be sold as honey. That means a brand can filter, dilute, or blend it, and the product still passes as long as it tastes sweet and sticky enough. Some products don't even bother pretending, selling honey blends that contain mostly sugar syrup but dress themselves up with pictures of bees and flowers. For the average consumer, there's no easy way to tell. You grab a bottle labeled honey and assume it's the real thing. This deception matters for more than just your wallet. Fake honey robs consumers of honey's natural benefits. Real honey has antimicrobial properties and antioxidants that have been valued for centuries in traditional medicine. It's been used to soothe sore throats, heal wounds, and strengthen immunity. Syrup, on the other hand, is just sugar, empty calories that offer no nutritional value, and may even contribute to health issues if consumed in excess. By buying counterfeit honey, you're missing out on the very qualities that make the real product worth seeking in the first place. The fraud also hurts beekeepers and ecosystems. Honest beekeepers who work hard to produce real honey find themselves undercut by cheaper fake versions flooding the market. Consumers see lower prices and assume genuine honey should be just as cheap, creating unrealistic expectations. Meanwhile, bees, already under threat from pesticides, habitat loss, and disease, are devalued in the process. Every jar of counterfeit honey sold means less support for the people and pollinators who actually make the real thing possible. So how can you tell if the honey you're buying is real? Unfortunately, it's not always easy. Some people swear by at-home tests, like dropping honey in water to see if it dissolves, or lighting it on fire to test its purity. But these methods aren't foolproof. The best way to protect yourself is to know where your honey comes from. Buying directly from local beekeepers, farmers markets, or trusted brands that certify their supply chain is one of the safest options. Look for labels that indicate raw or unfiltered honey, as these are less likely to have been tampered with. Real honey often crystallizes over time, a natural process that fake honey usually doesn't undergo. If your honey stays perfectly clear and syrupy for months or years, That's a red flag. Interestingly, some of the world's most authentic honey comes with very distinct flavors depending on the flowers the bees feed on. Clover honey, orange blossom honey, buckwheat honey, all have unique colors, aromas, and textures. Fake honey, by contrast, is often uniform in appearance, with little variation. If every jar looks and tastes exactly the same, it might be more factory-made than bee-made. It's worth noting that governments and regulators are starting to take honey fraud more seriously. In recent years, there have been raids and bans on imports of adulterated honey, particularly from overseas suppliers known to cut corners. But enforcement is still uneven, and plenty of counterfeit honey slips through the cracks. Until stricter global standards are enforced, the burden falls on consumers to be cautious. And this isn't just a niche issue. The fake honey industry is massive, worth billions of dollars worldwide. Some experts rank honey as one of the most adulterated foods in the world, right up there with olive oil and wine. That means the jar in your pantry could easily be part of this global deception without you even realizing it. The sad part is how quickly we've normalized it. For many shoppers, honey is just another sweetener on the shelf. Few stop to think about whether bees had anything to do with it. And yet, for thousands of years, honey has held a sacred place in human culture. Ancient Egyptians used it in medicine and rituals. Greek athletes ate it for energy. It's mentioned in the Bible, the Quran, and countless folk traditions as a symbol of purity and abundance. To strip it down to nothing more than sugar syrup in a plastic bottle is more than fraud. It's a cultural loss. When you drizzle honey on toast or stir it into your tea, you're supposed to be tasting something natural, something that connects you to the work of bees and the landscapes they inhabit. Real honey is the product of thousands of bees visiting millions of flowers. A remarkable collaboration between nature and humans. Fake honey erases that story. It's empty sweetness, detached from any real source. That's why this matters. It's not just about money, nutrition, or even honesty in labeling. It's about protecting the meaning of honey itself. When we accept products with zero honey as honey, we cheapen the work of beekeepers, we ignore the struggles of pollinators, and we lose touch with one of nature's simplest miracles. So the next time you reach for a jar, take a closer look. Ask where it came from. Support local producers. Learn to spot the difference. Because when a product labeled honey has no honey in it at all, it's not just a scam, it's a warning. A warning about how easily marketing can replace reality and how quickly we can lose sight of what's real if we stop paying attention. In the end, real honey is still out there, still being made by bees and cared for by people who respect the process. But it's up to us to demand it, to value it, and to protect it. Anything less isn't honey. It's just sugar dressed in gold.